we have these injuries. What I don't want to hear, you know what word I do not want to hear?
What?
And it's a key word in baseball, G. And I want to see if you think the way that I think.
Fatigue?
No, that's something we've heard before.
Heard a lot of fatigue in baseball.
We've also
these days.
heard this other word. And if we hear this other word in regards to Walker, then we're going to be...
MRI?
Impingement.
Oh, an impingement.
Well, you hope it's not an impingement.
Yeah.
And it was dealing, man. He looked great, man. His sinker was going, and Keith was all over it, and it was fun to watch. And then all of a sudden, he grabs the trainer and decides to go down into the dugout, and you don't see anything from him. But Peterson comes out and does a great job, really a great job. May comes in, he's got the fatigue in the arm and all this other stuff, and then Lugo couldn't get a slider over to save his life. And Didi, obviously, hits a clutch hit, and we just, the team is good. It's a good team, and but I do worry about, in general, about baseball and pitching. Everybody's got problems.
I mean,
there's just never enough of it. I don't know why. It's amazing to me, and we've talked ad nauseum about this. Just the issues with pitchers in general, and how they're utilized.
You got to have a million of them on a roster.
You feel like you got to have like a whole separate roster of pitchers. Because, right, and even like they were talking about it last night on Yes, that Toronto's had to make some call-ups in pitchers, and the Phillies have got pitching problems. The Nationals have pitching problems. I mean, it is. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what the answer to it is. I don't ever remember, and maybe it's just the last 10 years or so, pitch counts and the utilization of the bullpen and matchups and things of that nature, and starters don't go any more than 5 innings. I mean, I think Corey Kluber went 4 2/3 for Tampa Bay, and that's like a big deal because he did it for Tampa Bay and he didn't do it for the Yankees. I mean, like 4 2/3, really? That's what we're talking about?
The bar has been lowered so much.
It is unbelievable. It's so frustrating. And then, of course, last night, you're going to have games like this. You're going to have games where, you just miss a home run. Pete Alonso just misses a home run. They, for whatever reason, they couldn't turn a double play when they needed it last night. Meanwhile, it's amazing how slow Giancarlo Stanton is.
Well, that was an incredible play there by Bo Bichette. I mean, I know what you're talking about. I expected him to beat that out as well.
I thought maybe by a step you get him,
but they
got him by like 5 yards.
I mean, you're right. I mean, you thought maybe the play would be closer, but he got a lot on that throw, on that jump throw. That's a critical point in the game, obviously. As they don't score any runs.
Bat,
I know,
slow roller.
Well, it wasn't that slow though.
But
that's the thing.
I feel like it was deep into the hole at shortstop, and I thought Giancarlo was a better athlete than that. In other words, I thought he was a little bit faster than that.
Yeah, but it's all right. So normally you think broken bat, it's going to be a dribbler, but this was not a dribbler at all. And by the way, with his history of muscle pulls and stuff,
quads.
I wonder if sometimes he takes a little off it.
It's a little quad muscle.
A little maintenance on the run. I mean, what has happened to baseball players? Like, honestly, the only time that I've seen guys fight through stuff this year is when they got hit in the face, which doesn't make any sense.
And they were Mets.
Like Alonso and Lindor got hit in the face and they were in the lineup the next day, but everybody else is dropping like flies with fatigue.
Yeah, what sucks, though? You have your guy, Seth Lugo, on the mound, and we all love Seth, and we all think he's great, and then he just doesn't have his stuff. And in that ballpark, as Gary was talking about last night, man, anything can happen at a given notice. It was frustrating because you felt like it was happening.
Yeah.
You felt like you were living it in the moment, and I just never felt like he was going to be able to get the key out, and he didn't. And when Didi gets up and and hits his ball right on the screws, right where they're not, then you know that this is a game that's not going to be won by the road team.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like they should be 5-0 at this point.
My God,
that's what you feel like. Feel like they should be.
They're a good team.
5-0.
I'm not worried about they're a good team, but I do worry. If I were a Yankee fan, I would worry because the team that you're playing in this series, Toronto, that's the team.
Well, do you feel like they got juice? They've got a great lineup. Manoah last night was spectacular for them. I mean, they feel like they have the stuff the Yankees don't.
I feel like they got young, youthful energy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and also, a team that is hungry, hasn't been there before. I guess maybe they have a little bit of pressure on them this year with the way that they finished last year. But it's everything that the Yankees aren't. Right. I mean, the Yankees feel like, they feel stale. They feel like they can't hit. You feel like there's problems all over the rotation. I mean, I could see Toronto dominating this matchup this year. That's what it feels like. I know it's one game, but that team, and a lot of people believe that this Toronto team is significantly better than the Yankees overall. And last night, I mean, with that lineup, there is no excuse to get shut out. No excuse.
The Yankees shouldn't get shut out like that. But, the one thing in regards to Toronto, they're young, they're hungry, they're aggressive, they've lost. They've learned. They're coming into their own.
They've lost and learned.
Yeah, and they're
sounds like a greeting card.
And they're coming into their own.
Yeah, they are. They are coming into their own.
So we got to hope that there's no impingements.
Yeah.
For the Mets, whether in the shoulder or forearm or fatigue and tightness. We're 5 games in.
No, seriously. I mean, so Jacob deGrom is out for months. Taijuan Walker, we're waiting to find out what his deal is.
And he has a knee on top of the shoulder.
Now, you want to tell me you got fatigue after overuse in a year where the bullpen is overtaxed, and Trevor May has some fatigue at the end of the year? All right, I understand that. It's the second game of the second series of the year.
Remember when he was signed?
I do remember when he was signed.
How great that whole thing was going to be, and we got a top end reliever here now and everything.
Yeah, last year was fine. I mean, he was good
fine.
last year.
I know, but
I mean, I've heard more about his twitch than I've heard about his, bullpen stuff. I mean, he's a guy that likes to be on social media, and he's a guy who likes to be out there, and he's someone who, we'll see what happens. Maybe he's not going to be on the DL or the IL for a very long period of time. It's just frustrating to hear fatigue this early in the season, especially with all these other injuries. And by the way, I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that it was a shortened spring training and the lockout and
what
all
are these
that
guys
stuff.
doing in the offseason?
I don't know.
You would think that they would be ramping it up like, okay, take a couple months off, give your arm a rest. I'm not really sure what they do in terms of getting their arm ready for the regular season, but I got to believe that it does include throwing. I mean, for quarterbacks like me, we used to throw all the time in the offseason. We'd lift, we'd run, we'd work on our fundamentals. I remember that depending on when your season ended back, when I played, you would end sometimes in December if you didn't make the playoffs, and then you'd maybe take January and February off, but you'd still be going to the gym and stuff and working.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden March, you throw 3-4 days a week. And then, April, you got your mini camps and everything. And then, you shut it down a little bit in terms of throwing in May. And then you start up again in June. And then July, you hit the ground running. I mean, I'm assuming because these are all now 24/7, 365 athletes that are working year round, that, these guys it's part of their job to get ready to go early in the season and get ramped up. Now, I'm not sitting there saying that you need to go out there and throw 99-mile-an-hour fastballs, in January and December, but I would think long tossing, catching, stretching your arm out, doing the right exercises, especially, some of those guys that are coming off of injury and have to go through rehab and all that other stuff. But it is amazing to me. Here we are 5 games into the season. You got one guy that has got already fatigue. Mm-hmm. You got another guy who's got a shoulder and a knee issue. I mean, don't these things take care of themselves in the offseason?
So you would think that is the time at this day and age. It's not like you had guys in the offseason, with other jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys usually get themselves together in the offseason and come back in the best shape that they could possibly be in. But, yeah, I mean, you got the injuries already. You got stacking one on top of another. What's that? What are you doing?
That's 2.
2 what?
We got 2 really, really huge games tonight. I mean, the Nets game against the Cavaliers, even if they lose, they get to play the winner of the 9-10 game.
That's right.
The other one is the Rangers. The Rangers are hosting the Hurricanes.
That's right.
Same amount of games remaining, 9. 102 points for the Hurricanes, 100 for the Rangers. This is for first place in the Metro.
That's right. Yeah.
And, this is 2 of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. And the Garden will be electric tonight.
You going to be there?
I'm thinking about it.
Thinking about going?
Thinking about it.
Okay. All right. Very good.
But it's going to be electric tonight. Now, the interesting thing about the Nets, there are
Please
reports.
tell me.
There are reports. I know you're not interested, but there are reports.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the game, though, tonight.
There are Ben Simmons reports.
Yeah, I know that he might come back.
Yeah.
I know.
You know where that's coming from?
His agent?
Yes.
Who is Rich Paul, right?
Right. And who else does his agent represent?
LeBron James.
Yes, amongst others.
Yeah.
Including your boy Shams.
Shams Charania?
Yes, he of The Athletic is also represented by Clutch Sports.
Oh, okay.
So, and then when you think about Woj, throwing out Woj bombs and all these maybe ifs, ands, or could be's, these are all, agent related.
Okay.
This whole thing is agent related. I mean, you look at Steve Nash and you listen to him, he goes, we really don't even have him ramped up running yet.
Yeah, but Shams has got him in the playoffs already?
Well, Shams and Woj, you got Ben Simmons ready to come back to save the day for the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect.
Directly coming from Rich Paul, the agent for Ben Simmons, for Shams, and obviously it's LeBron and everything, and the whole disaster that is the Lakers. What's going on out there? The way they treated Frank Vogel and all this other crap.
I'm sorry, but how could anybody expect positivity from Ben Simmons in the playoffs when he hasn't played for a year? The last time you saw him play, he was afraid to shoot. He's got a back issue. He's on a brand new team that he has not played a single game with. And you think he's just going to jump right in there and be great? I mean, the people who talk about Ben Simmons making a positive impact on the Nets will always say the same things. Well, he could pass, he can defend, and he could rebound, and he could just do any of that stuff, and he'll just be great for them because he'll add to what they already have. I don't think it's that simple. I really don't. I mean, he's going to have to handle the ball. He's going to have to shoot at some point. And defensively, coming off a back injury and not playing in a year, I mean, I don't know he's going to be that effective either.
Well, he also had the mental stuff going on too.
Well, that's what I mentioned. He was, the shooting stuff from last year. That's the last time you saw him.
No, he didn't play for Philadelphia because of mental reasons.
Well, that's right. That's what he said.
And he brought those reasons. He brought them here. Got the back now, but according to Shams and Woj, there's a chance that he could play. That's because that's what Rich Paul is telling them to write. I mean, it's all crap. The whole thing is crap, man.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's getting paid. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think that, honestly, for the Nets to go on a run without him doesn't sound crazy to me at all. The Nets could lose in the play-in tournament and they could win the championship, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that's the extreme of what this team is. You don't believe that they have a shot at winning the whole thing. I still feel like there's a chance. I don't think that it's likely.
Hey, if you're in, there's a chance. I don't care what anybody says. If you're
not in the NBA.
But they have two stars. They have their two stars. Yeah. They're healthy, and hopefully nobody decides to take a day off here or there.
Right, like the Cavaliers don't really have a chance to win a championship.
No, I understand that, but these two guys do.
Oh, yeah, of course. Durant and Irving, of course. Of course they do.
The other thing, too, is you saw the report, and if it is accurate, it is so Nick-esque. It is unbelievable. That there are people within the front office of the Knicks, and this was reported by the Post, Mark Berman, that, wanted Tom Thibodeau fired after the All-Star game.
Yeah,
right around the All-Star break.
Yeah, classic Garden, right?
Classic Knicks. Knicks. And if I'm Leon Rose, man, first of all, I'd get a real shirt, wear it under my tie, and look like an executive for the NBA. And the second thing I would do is say, you know what? Goodbye. Get all these guys out of here.
But what if he was one of the guys?
I don't think he was one of the guys. I think he was one of the guys because I think he, at one point in time, represented Thibodeau.
Yeah, no, I know.
So they're going to fire a guy that represents and a guy that
I don't trust anybody over there, really.
I see, but this is this is a problem for the Knicks, and it always has been. There's always some sort of, everybody's got to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about this for the Jets and the Giants for the last 10 years. Can we get people synced up and on the same page, for God's sake? And at least the Giants and the Jets finally feel like they have that aspect of it right, assuming that the owners aren't going to meddle and get in the middle of everything and tell somebody that they can't spend any money on what they want to spend money on.
Well, they got too many guys there that they hired that they've given power to.
So I believe that this has got to be Worldwide West because he's the one that's traveling with the team. And if Worldwide West is saying, well, Julius Randle's unhappy and he doesn't want to play, and look at his body language, and he's giving the thumbs down to the fans, and he doesn't want to play defense, and he's hoisting up three-pointers that barely have a chance of making it, and he's throwing the ball away. I mean, so that's the coach's fault?
Yeah.
So let's get rid of the coach because our superstar is pouting on the basketball court. Bull crap. I'm sick of that. Enough.
Well, Tom Thibodeau had his back the entire year, too. There's no way Julius Randle could be upset at the coach. There's no way.
But he has no choice but to have his back. That's the thing. And the thing that's
not true. I mean, he could sit anybody down he wants.
But he's not. They gave him a 4-year contract extension. He's supposedly
Gave
took
Kemba
less
Walker
money.
a ton of money and sat his ass
Took
down.
less money. He took less money. Well, you remember, Julius Randle had a great year last year and was happy and was flourishing. And he's one of the reasons why the Knicks made it to the playoffs, but he's also probably the biggest reasons the Knicks lost to Atlanta in the first round of the playoffs.
Yep.
And then he carried that game into this year. And so whatever inside front office person was looking at the Knicks and player body language. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Player body language. So we got to get rid of the coach because he's too hard on the players. Now, if you told me you were going to get rid of the coach because he wasn't going to play the younger players, I would get that. But I think the problem is because of the Kemba Walker issue, as you just brought up, and because how poorly Julius Randle played and his body language towards the fans, lackadaisical on defense, a turnover waiting to happen on offense in important parts of the game. Those are the things, if you really want to break it down, that cost the Knicks just an awful year. And it wasn't until he started sitting down late in the year when these games meant nothing and the young kids went out there and played great.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.